Invitational, and we're here in Loudon, New Hampshire for the New England 200, the last oval of this 1995 PPG IndyCar World Series season. Hello and welcome. I'm Paul Page. This is the day that could begin to determine the championship. It is the first opportunity that Canadian Jacques Villeneuve may actually score his championship so long awaited. In the points right now, he obviously is well ahead. If he can leave this race with a 45-point difference over any competitor, he leaves this race as the champion. But can he do it? Is it really that easy? Not here at Loudon, because things happen fast, they happen quick, and anything can happen. Take the start just last year as they came down for the green flag. Everybody went everywhere, but most notably, Jacques Villeneuve ended up against the wall, and it was a pointless day for him. And today he starts in 15th position. That's the worst start that he has ever had in his IndyCar career. So for him, today may be an uphill battle. But there are some great stories here today, too. Let's go trackside and Gary Gerald.
Paul, no question, we've got the ingredients for another absolute whirlwind on this bull ring when you consider only 1 second separates the top 20. And who's on the pole? How about the rookie from Brazil, Andre Ribeiro, the 9th different pole winner this year, the second rookie to do it, Honda-powered Firestone tires. He was sensational at nearly 178 miles per hour. Looked like he had it locked up, and then all of a sudden, late in the session, there came the veteran from Italy. His name, Teo Fabi. He came within 3/100ths of a second as he put his Ford Cosworth powered Goodyear tire machine right here alongside on the front row. Tremendous speed on 1 lap. Now they've got to do it for 200 laps with 24 challengers right behind them. So you got the youngster from Brazil up front, you got the veteran from Italy alongside. Where are the Americans, you're saying? Right behind us in row 2, and Jan Beekes is there.
That's right, Gary. On row number 2, we have 2 of the hardest charging drivers here on the circuit, both Americans, however, with different engine, tire, and chassis specifications. First of all, Scott Pruitt, of course, Firestone tires, Lola chassis, Ford power. We know how much he loves the ovals after winning the Michigan 500. Now, right next door, the ultra-aggressive Robbie Gordon with a different package again, Goodyear tires, Reynard chassis, and a Ford power plant. Now, we know Robbie Gordon loves to go to the outside here on a 1-mile oval. You think maybe in turn number 1 he might think about going to the outside of Teo Fabi? We're only moments, Paul, from finding out.
And then there's the ovals themselves. Derek Daly, when drivers first come to an oval, they're scared to death. And then they decide that they really like them.
And you know, the strange thing is, no matter how many times you come to the same oval, they continue to be scary because of the sheer speed you have to run between these concrete walls and be mistake-free. But if you get a car to handle well, you will not have a better afternoon's racing than on a 1-mile oval.
And to win, the key is aggression?
Oh, aggression is rewarded here so much because these corners are relatively tight for an oval, which means the driver can contribute greatly by hustling the car. But aggressive moves inside or outside can make huge differences here, as we saw in '93 in that titanic battle with Mansell and Tracy.
Now, when we're talking aggression, though, that's something normally in a veteran. Our pole sitter, Andre Ribeiro, his first ever pole.
And the veterans you mentioned, let's just pick 2, Michael Andretti and Paul Tracy. They're well back down on the grid, but they are so good in aggressive racing situations during the race. But Ribeiro, now, no matter how much talent he has, let's face it, we cannot expect him to have the confidence or the experience or the aggression level to run in traffic as well as these veterans. So I believe he will get a lesson in racetrack management this afternoon.
All right, well, the command to start engines has just rung out. Andre Ribeiro sits there on the pole. Teo Fabi to your left as the balloons fly, and when we come back, we'll be ready to race.
As we get ready now for the New England 200, the final oval race of the season, Andre Ribeiro in a Honda-powered car is on the pole.
Teo Fabi will be alongside. This is his 3rd front row start of the year. In the 2nd row, Scott Pruitt, and it equals his best ever for the Michigan 500 winner. And outside, it'll be Robbie Gordon. He won easily this season on the 1-mile oval at Phoenix. In row 3, Christian Fittipaldi has 4 top 10 finishes in 5 oval races this year. And Jimmy Vasser, he's finished in the top 10 in both of his previous Loudon starts. The 4th row, Mauricio Guzman, one of only 2 drivers to be running at the finish at every oval race this season, and Gilles de Ferran. His best finish came on the oval at Milwaukee. In row 5, Michael Andretti. The Toronto winner has a 2nd and a 5th in his 2 previous starts here. And Adrian Fernandez, he's finished every race since Indy, and all of them in the points. In row 6, it's Brian Herta. and Juan Manuel Fangio. In row 7, Raul Boesel, who is starting in his spare car after a crash in the morning warm-up, and Paul Tracy. And Jack Villeneuve in row 8. Only one of his 5 career wins have come on an oval, and Emerson Fittipaldi will be alongside. Row 9, Al Unser Jr. and Eddie Cheever. The 10th row, Alessandro Zampedri and Bobby Rahal, the winner of the first IndyCar race here. Row 11, Marco Greco and Carlos Guerrero. The 12th row, Buddy Lazier and Stefan Johansson. In row 13, Eliseo Salazar and Hiro Matsushita, who starts last because he was underweight and his qualifying time was disallowed. And here today, 200 laps with the fuel window starting at about lap 62, extending through 69. And take a look at that one fact. The top 20 are separated by less than a second. There is the breakdown in today's field, chassis and engine. So we're ready to go. Honorary starter here today, somewhat hidden at the moment, but it's Richard Lugar, the senior senator of Indiana, who was mayor of Indianapolis for many years and certainly knows and understands and loves his IndyCar racing.
And we saw the accident last year. One of the problems here in New Hampshire is cold tires. These cars have 800 horsepower that tends to break away these rear tires. Boesel crashed this morning and Johansson crashed in practice on cold tires. So watch the start.
Already the PPG pace car cycles off on the backside of the circuit. This is turn 3 as Andre Ribeiro, the rookie pole sitter and track record holder now, brings the field through the 3rd turn into turn 4, begins to pick up the pace, watching for that green, and here we go. Dale Fabi immediately jumps into the front. Robbie Gordon coming up to challenge on the outside. Field safely through 1 and 2. Screaming down the backstretch, it's Teo Fabi. And we've got an accident coming off of 2. Accident off of 2. Fernandez. Fernandez was the guy involved last year as well. Car badly damaged on the left side.
This is Adrian's second big crash of the weekend here. On Friday, he was the 2nd fastest car in practice, and he had a very, very big crash coming off turn 4. So we mentioned it not 15 seconds earlier. Cold tires on the first lap of these races. These cars are very difficult to handle.
You can actually listen as the safety crew asks, is he all right? Apparently a nod to the affirmative.
When you hit these concrete walls this hard, sometimes the driver gets dazed. He is quite happy to sit there. He's quite happy to sit there and wait for these experienced safety crews to get to him.
Well, appears he's all right as he starts to climb out of the car. There's Rick Gallus, the car owner, and the remainder of the crew as they take a look to see what happened. Adrian's okay and walks away. Derek, here's the way it's set up.
Coming off turn 2, you can see he loses it by himself. And once you get away, once the car gets away from you here, it's a one-way ticket to the hard, unforgiving concrete wall. And although that car may not look destroyed, it is very, very heavily damaged. You see him down on the inside, bottom of the picture. We can take a look from our in-car camera. We've been over his shoulder all weekend here. Here's turn 1.
Just snapped around quickly on him.
You could see he made it around turn 1. Then these are tight corners here, but he makes it around turn 1, gets wide. The back gets away from him all by himself. And when that happens, these concrete walls do an awful lot of damage to these Indy cars.
Only about 7 very lucky drivers right behind him. Look right in the middle of the frame there as he loses the back end and takes a very hard hit with the wall. His second of the weekend. And this morning warm-up, that's where Boesel got into the wall as well. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Rick Gallus, has been a very, very difficult weekend, and it really puts a damper on what had been a terrific second half of the season for this team.
Yeah, Gary, we're just unfortunate things like this happen. You know, Adrian did a great job all weekend. Even though he had that problem, the car was fast, and we felt like we had a good race going today, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And you know, one thing, when we hit the fence, we hit it together, and when we win together. So this isn't an Adrian's fault or the team's fault or anything. It's just something that happened. We just have to live with it.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay.
All right, so a lot of debris to clean up on the track right now, and that gives us opportunity to take a break as well, catch our breath, as the New England 200 is yellow right after turn number 2.
It doesn't take long for things to happen. Teo Fabi moving into the lead ahead of Andre Ribeiro, but on that very first lap, Adrian Fernandez has brought out the yellow flag as the safety crew continues to clean up. You know, in the 3 previous New England 200s, the winning driver has gone on to win the championship. Ray Hall, Mansell in '93, and a year ago, it was Al Unser Jr.
I'm sure because there's a lot of oil on the ground, so when he exits the pits during the pit stop, please be careful.
So the conversation with Robbie Gordon as you ride on board. We're at the New England 200 in Loudon, New Hampshire. Teo Fabi jumped the start, then got a good jump on Ribeiro, as did Robbie Gordon. But what about Robbie Gordon? We've watched him all season long. He's young, brash, and he hates to lose.
I used to ride motorcycles every day after school, and I had one teacher that wrote home to my parents and said, you know, Robbie's not concentrating on school. I don't know if I'm the bad boy out there, but I'm just definitely not going to be one of those drivers you can take advantage of and walk all over out there. I like to win races just as much as the next guy, and whatever it takes to win races, we'll do. I'm comfortable when I'm doing those kind of things, but I think I react better under pressure. If you can't run with the big dogs, go home.
I tell you, he's brash, but he is a good guy and fun to be around. Robbie Gordon, watch for him. Wonder whether he's going to get another off-road championship first or an IndyCar championship. Both are very likely. This is Adrian Fernandez, only his 3rd DNF of the season. He DNF'd at Australia and at Indianapolis, but this was Friday here, Derek.
On the other end of the racetrack. Now watch the black patch. He drives onto it right there, then he gets in trouble. Watch this. Now watch the flame. Gearbox smashes into the back of the wall. That was Friday. And then, of course, at the opposite end of the racetrack on lap 1, it all went wrong again. This is into turn 1. Makes it safely through. Now he gets in trouble. Listen. He had a headache on Friday night, and he may have another one now. And Rick Gallis may have a headache when he writes the check to fix 2
has a heartache right now. So they've gotten the car off the track. They still have quite a bit of debris, and they're a little bit concerned about oil that may be laid down there in the 1st and 2nd turn. We'll be back.
Still cleaning up at the New England 200 as you ride along with Bobby Ray Hall. Interesting to note, despite starting way back in the field in 16th place, Jacques Villeneuve has picked up the most points on ovals this year.
Behind the PPG pace car, the field circulates now. Teo Fabi, then Robbie Gordon, then Andre Ribeiro. That was the order when we went yellow at the conclusion of the 2nd turn on the 1st lap here. Now 8 laps are complete. We're still under yellow. And of course, when they line up, they'll be back single file. And so we'll have a little smoother run into the start. But it was interesting what Andre Ribeiro did. He really probably should have done almost the opposite.
Exactly. He accelerated down through turns 3 and 4, realized he was a long way ahead, backed off right at the time Fabi put his foot down, and of course Fabi got the slingshot. It looked good to the starter stand here, but of course Fabi had such a head of steam, he lost that place too, his outside front row starter.
Let's go down to Gary Gerald.
And if you're wondering how the rookie Ribeiro is handling the early pressure and the anxiety from starting for the pole for the first time, only one radio conversation that we've monitored coming back to the team, Steve Horn and company. He was simply saying the car at the moment is a little loose. It's got an understeer problem, but they think that as they get the tires, the temperature and the pressure build up under green flag conditions, that will all stabilize. He seems to be as cool as can be at this point. Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Hey, Gary, you ever wonder why during these pace laps the cars are weaving back and forth vigorously? The reason is they're trying to get what's called pickup off the tires. This is the other rubber that's come off other tires that deposits here on the tires. These are Scott Pruitt's tires. Now look at these. These have no pickup on them whatsoever because they're so concerned about it. They take a heat gun here, apply the heat to the tire, and then pick up here a putty knife, and a mechanic has to actually individually scrub all that pickup off each and individual tire on these. Now the drivers do it manually out there on the racetrack, but these guys all feel that pickup will be important today.
And we should see a green flag the next time they come by. Robbie Gordon obviously moved early to get into this third position and is charging for the front. And that's really going to be important in the points fight, because the further up he can get, the better off he's going to be, especially if Jacques Villeneuve can stay back. And just in that one move, Gordon actually, for the moment, moved into second place in the points battle. It'll be one more lap now until the green flag, as we take a look at the running order, of course under yellow, at the conclusion of lap 8.
And don't take your eyes off Robbie Gordon, because nobody likes to run on the outside line, on that bravery line, as much as Robbie Gordon. And he would try and pull one over Teo Fabi, knowing that Ribeiro probably will not make a challenge for that lead position or that second position.
Also, though, to take nothing away from Jacques Villeneuve, he moved up 2 positions on the start ahead of Raul Boesel and Emerson Fittipaldi. Pace comes back up. Teo Fabi brings him to the green. Veteran guy on the pole, veteran racer in the IndyCars. And we're back green once again. There's Robbie, comes up as close as he can on the start, now closes on Fabi. The two pull away from third place Ribeiro.
And you saw Gordon high on that outside line, but Fabi was very quick on the line he chose. Here's Gordon's favorite move here. Can he make it? No, he's too far behind.
11 laps complete. The field strung out now. De Ferran comes in to make a move down underside Christian Fittipaldi.
Oh, that was an aggressive move, an unusual move. He almost had to avoid Christian Fittipaldi, who lost so much time himself, and Michael now challenges him down the inside.
Michael Andretti has Christian Fittipaldi on the inside going into 3. Now Michael chasing De Ferran. It's a battle for 6th place.
They use the brakes here. They ride the brakes and get back on as soon as you can. Let's do it again. As soon as he comes off, ride the brakes a little bit, set the man up, get over the new patch of ground, and then get on the power.
You mentioned it starting, Derek. Guys like Michael and his teammate Paul Tracy. Michael started 9th, is now 7th. Tracy started 14th, is now 9th.
This is a period where things settle down. The real racing starts when you begin to encounter traffic, and on a 1-mile oval it doesn't take long for the leading cars to get into traffic, and then you see the aggressive moves and the experienced people begin to come up towards the front.
Christian Fittipaldi is lined up just behind this man, Michael Andretti. Gary Gerald, you've been watching their team.
Checking with the crew for Christian Fittipaldi, making sure that there wasn't something really ill-handling. They say, no, it's just a case of a rookie driver here in this very busy mile oval, settling in, getting into a race rhythm. Also, a radio report that we picked up, heavy bottoming from one of the observers reported on the #1 car. That's Al Unser Jr. Remember the last time we had reports of heavy bottoming in Portland and what transpired?
Well, it's still a matter of fact. It's an appeal. And by the way, for those of you that may wonder, it is in the appeal process now. There'll be 3 judges appointed to hear that issue over the run at Portland that eventually got Jimmy Vasser the win awarded to him. But our calculation of the points, where we suggested at starting that Jacques Villeneuve, as we watch him here, has to leave this track 45 points ahead of everybody else in order to be the champion here. That does take into account that hearing going either way.
Good pictures of Jacques here. He had hoped to get into the top 10 as soon as possible. Tony Sekeli, his engineer last night, made a lot of changes on this car. Villeneuve believed that on full tanks, which he ran this morning, full every time he ran, he thought he was equal to Robbie Gordon. So now he chases Brian Herta. who has actually been in his own bit of a struggle this weekend. Not quite the match of Jimmy Vasser, except for one session on Saturday.
And Jack, as we look back from Brian Herta's car, sits in a 1-point position. He is 12th. Brian Herta is in 11th. Dale Fabi still the leader. Gordon second, Andre Ribeiro third. Then Scott Pruitt and Jimmy Vasser. Let's go to Jan Beekes.
Paul, in regards to Jacques Villeneuve, he is receiving radio communications at the moment from Barry Green, his team owner, not on how close he is to the other competitors, but where the leader is. They're very concerned about keeping the leader in sight, making sure they don't go a lap down.
Of course, there's something that happens so very quick on a 1-mile oval. It's the front of the field already overhauling the back end of the field, despite the fact that they were so very close in qualifying, a second covering the first 20 positions here.
So Jacques does his bit in the cockpit, and Barry Green does his bit on monitoring what happens in the race. What a team this has turned out to be, Paul. I mean, a team makes a driver, and a driver makes a team. But they are an example of a team who have spent their budget very wisely and had so much success on basically having harmony and the right people in the right place.
One man has struggled throughout this weekend has been Stefan Johansson. Gary Gerald, those struggles continue?
Apparently that's the case, Paul. We understand that we know that they had to make a motor change after the warm-up session this morning. They only got a couple of laps in, and apparently they developed some kind of an oil leak. We anticipate that Tony Bettenhausen is going to bring him in. They may just park it for the day.
Jack going into turn 3 tries to make the inside move on Brian Herta, but fails to make the pass. The question would be, where does Jack have to play this whole thing? He's got 3 races, counting this one, left. Go for broke here or just take it easy?
Absolutely not. But here he's a run on Brian Herta right here. Can he duck down the inside of turn 3? Yes, he does. Under brake, he makes it stick. Now he's only 1 place away from that top 10 that he wanted to be in before his first pit stop.
But I think some indication that he is being very careful. Let's go back up to the front of the field. Teo Fabi, number 33, as we watch Robbie Gordon and Andre Ribeiro. This is a battle for second place right behind the leader. Ribeiro now beginning to get up a full head of steam, and he moves inside of Gordon. So Ribeiro to second place, but look at Gordon, he comes right back.
As the race settles down here, 25 laps gone, Ribeiro begins to find his feet. He ran down Robbie Gordon, and here's Scott Pruitt down the inside of Gordon.
Pruitt in 4th place moves into the battle. Tries to get underneath Gordon. Look to the left there. That's Ribeiro just ahead.
That was Derek Walker saying, watch Pruitt. Oh, he goes outside him and pulls it off.
Ribeiro gets caught up with slower traffic. Ribeiro got caught up with Salazar and had to drop back in behind Robbie. But look at Scott Pruitt as he works way high on the outside. And Ribeiro comes to the inside again, and he's got him.
This is what's so great about the Magic Mile here in New Hampshire. As soon as you get into traffic, you have to begin to anticipate so far ahead. And that's why you see so many place changes like Robbie Gordon here and Andre Ribeiro.
Salazar, the green and white car on the inside, becoming a factor in this, but now he realizes these are the leaders stringing past. And as both Pruitt and Vasser and De Ferran come past. They tend to talk to one another as we watch Scott Pruitt move to the inside of Gordon again. Slower traffic a factor. Drag racing down the backstretch. Pruitt gets in low. Gordon up on that high line that he loves. Whoa, he takes the bravery line and they stay side by side over to the front stretch.
You have to hold your breath. You have to hold your breath when you make moves like this, but wheel to wheel at 190 miles an hour down this front straight, you also have to have confidence in the man that you're racing at that speed. Paul Pruitt seems to be better on the tight line down the inside. There he goes again.
Boy, 2 cars, each seem to be matched for the line that they're driving, which means when they get back to the start-finish line, they're dead even again. Remember what Scott Pruitt said at starting about these bull rings, and remember what Derek Daly said about how they can be terrifying and fun.
10-4, hang in there, you're doing good.
Derek Walker, the car owner, talking to Robbie Gordon as we look back to the front of the field again. Andre Ribeiro beginning to close and trying to challenge on Teo Fabi. Again, slower traffic a factor. That's Carlos Guerrero just ahead. Teo holds the top position. Guerrero comes down under Herta. Look at Ribeiro as he comes to the inside.
Tighten your seatbelts here, boys. This is some of the best. Ribeiro went down the inside of turn 1 and got blocked. Had to back out of it. But this is as good as it gets as Brian Herta is in trouble.
Brian Herta very definitely slowing as his teammate Jimmy Vasser comes around.
He's on his way to the pits. You don't run that slow without having a major problem. But Ribeiro having a superb run here for Tasman.
Herta's dropped from 11th to 20th and, of course, just went a lap down. Back at the lead. There's Teo. And Ribeiro now beginning to roll up on him again. Lap or two, he should be right there. So Teo Fabi, the leader here. Andre Ribeiro in second. Pruitt third. Then Vasser, then DeFerrin. Michael Andretti is now up to 6th.
Fittipaldi, Unser and Tracy, Villeneuve. Players Limited continues its leadership in Canadian motor racing by sponsoring Road America 200 winner Jacques Villeneuve and the Players Limited racing team in the PPG IndyCar World Series, the ultimate test of man and machine. Players Limited, a tradition of excellence.
Welcome back to our coverage of the New England 200, and it has been absolutely heart-stopping coverage so far. As you take a look at the leader, Teo Fabi, who started outside row 1 along with Andre Ribeiro, grabbed the lead on the start, and now you look at Paul Tracy, who is moving his way up. His teammate, Michael Andretti, is currently running in 6th. But there may be problems for Robbie Gordon, who is falling back to New England.
We're back at the New England 200. You're riding with Robbie Gordon, but when you take a look at that top 6, you can see that Robbie Gordon is in trouble. He's been falling steadily backwards. Gary Gerald, any idea what the problem is?
Yeah, Derek Walker just indicated the car's extremely loose, and so that's what they're battling. They're hoping he can hang on until they get in the pit window for the first stop to make an adjustment. Same problem for Brian Herta. Paul Tracy, however, looks like a guy on the move, and he is really coming up through traffic. Now, with that yellow that we had in the first lap incident, I think we will not see pit stops if we stay green until the early 70 lap mark, maybe 72 to 75.
Paul Tracy has moved up into 7th position just behind his teammate as we watch him here, Michael Andretti. Little explanation of the pit window, the way we refer to it. At starting, we said lap 62 would be the pit window. That's in a perfect situation. A team can also figure the pit window from the finish backwards as well. And we've heard Derek Walker talking about maybe about lap 39 they might pit this car.
And the only reason Derek Walker would call him in earlier, if he loses so much time on the racetrack with a handling problem, he could take him in, try and fix it, and then send him back up. And look what's going on here.
3 wide into 1 as here is Michael caught up with a whole gaggle of traffic in front of him as he comes down inside of Jimmy Vasser, picks him off for 4th place.
And that's the use of traffic right there. Now he tries to go inside Pruitt. Look at that.
Oh, Pruitt loses it. And Pruitt catches the wall. He loses it just in front of Michael. Little oil fire at the back of the car.
Talk about being right there.
I see you. You all right?
Got hit up pretty good. It's like I got hit from behind or something.
Well, of course, we know different than that, because you saw it right from Michael's onboard camera. Scott Pruitt talking to Jim McGee, his team manager, and the IndyCar safety team right there. Fire has burned itself out at the back of the car, and that eliminates Pruitt from the championship. So now we're seeing some pit stops. Jan Beekes?
Yes, Teo Fabi, our leader, brings it in. He had just called in on the radio saying that he was one of those cars that was going very loose. So they have told him to take the front sway bar and make it full stiff. Now they're going to try and make an adjustment. Oh, they have a problem with the right rear. They have a problem with the gun. Teo Fabi in big trouble here. Is going to lose the lead for sure. They still can't get it tightened. Now Teo Fabi is down, but a long stop for Teo Fabi today.
Andre Ribeiro was rolling, but Michael Andretti, it looks, may have been the first out. Yeah, Michael Andretti got out ahead of everybody. So a round of stops under the second yellow of the day, bringing most of the field in, causing grief for Teo Fabi because of the problem with the air gun, and gives Michael Andretti the lead of the race. Let's go back. Scott Pruitt, they say, is okay. Here's what happened.
Michael tries to come down the inside. Doesn't quite make it. Pruitt's now in the area where Fernandez crashed. All by himself. He loses control. From then on, just like Fernandez.
On Friday.
On Friday, one-way ticket to the concrete wall.
Now, we are aware there's a little bit of a ripple in the pavement right about there.
Here's the move from the in-car with Michael. He gets a good run off turn 2. Passes Vassar, passes Bozell, tries to get by Pruitt. Can't do it. Pruitt gets brave. Watch this. See Michael on the brakes. Michael got on the brakes to make sure he didn't get gathered up by Pruitt. So Pruitt, despite thinking he may have got tapped from the back, this was a loose oversteering car. It happened all by himself, and we know that Gordon is complaining about being loose, as is Brian Herta.
So Scott Pruitt, the report is he's okay. You see him walking back with Dr. Terry Tremmel, one of the IndyCar physicians. We're under our second yellow of the day, and we'll be back right after this.
Straight away down in the pit of your gut, wrenching, squealing tires, smoking from start to finish. Gonna be there? 'Cause I know.
The safety crew continues to clean up after Scott Pruitt's crash coming out of turn 4. Bill Adam, what is it about turn 4?
Well, it's just a case of trying to get onto the front straight as early as possible, and really it isn't anything different than but perhaps just the crowd there. It's something that may take that moment of concentration away from the drivers. They're trying to apply well over 700 horsepower, and the back just disappears.
A short time before the yellow came out and the incident involving Pruitt that Tracy was a man on the move, and then suddenly he was having a major problem with the car. He came in under the benefit of the yellow, and underneath that wrap right down there is a right front tire that was badly worn. That was greatly contributing to the ill handling. The Goodyear engineers have already taken a preliminary look at it. They'll say they'll try to determine, of course, with further testing and observation, just what may have caused the problem. Don't know if it was a lock brake, don't know if it was a tire pressure problem or what, but that was dramatically influencing the handling for Tracy. So this yellow was fortuitous for him. Meanwhile, while Teo Fabi was having his problems in the pit, Andre Ribeiro came in, got routine service. He gained that position back from Teo as he easily slid back on the circuit. Michael Andretti, however, yet to come in and make the stop, Paul.
One guy definitely on the move. Al Unser Jr. has moved from 17th to 6th. And there is the serial scoring on Little Al's car as he comes around under the yellow, second yellow of the day. We are scoring on the 47th lap. The Bud 1 airship bringing us today's aerial shots. It's up 1,000 feet over this bull ring here, 194 feet long. Gives us some great aerials and has helped us analyze both of the accidents we've seen thus far.
We continue under yellow at New England after the second crash of the day. Scott Pruitt taking himself out as you look at Emerson Fittipaldi. But however, it is Newman Haas cars that are currently running 1-2. And you see Michael Andretti there, followed by Paul Tracy. Bill Adam, Tracy has been on a charge.
He has indeed, Vic, and it's almost as I so intelligently predicted at the start of our race today. Paul really gets very inspired, and I think bad qualifying just does that much more for him. But the other critical thing is the team. A team that can respond quickly and make the necessary changes are invaluable. If they were able to find something in morning warm-ups, they did it.
should be going back to green flag shortly here. Here's some very interesting information. The pit stop summary. There's Michael. He came in 4th, out in 1st. Paul Tracy in 6th, out in 2nd. The real loser in the whole thing seemed to be Teo Fabi, who went in 1st and came out in 8th. So we'll keep an eye on him in 8th position and see if he's able to move up through the field, because he certainly is fast on the track, but the pits failed him on that one.
And take a bow, everybody in the Newman Haas team who goes over the wall to serve as Michael's car and Paul Tracy, because that was a good example of the driver needing all the help he can get on a 1-mile oval. And when he comes down the pit lane and makes that amount of place improvements, you have to say that the team is working extremely well.
And as an update, the Newman Haas stops both Michael and Paul Tracy. We're going to split them up and watch on boards. We're routine stops for them.
The interesting thing now is we have 2 of the most aggressive drivers on 1-mile ovals. Michael leading Tracy, who loves to make that outside move, and of course they just got 1 finger. Next time by, they will get 1 finger, and it's all action again.
Michael Andretti, Paul Tracy nose to tail. That's the split screen you're looking at. Andretti in front, Tracy in 2nd, then Jimmy Vasser, Ribeiro, Christian Fittipaldi, and Al Unser Jr. up in 6th place, who's coming up through the field. By the way, 2 of the teams, at least, Penske Racing and Newman Haas, sent spotters up to the press level to a grandstand normally used up here by NASCAR, for example, to spot. And there was an official decision that they can't view from up there. They can view from grandstand. We've run into that before at Milwaukee and a couple of other places. They were up there. They said, no, but you can move down to a grandstand. And they were concerned, quite concerned about the safety issue. And safety, certainly, we've seen it as a problem on this track. Here we go. We're ready to run back to green. Lap 51. 1/4 of the race already done.
Watch Paul Tracy try to pull a move. But Ribeiro tries to block Christian Fittipaldi. Ribeiro, I think, having a good race here. Staying on the lead lap, keeping his nose clean and learning a lot.
Fellow Brazilians, Ribeiro, Fittipaldi, battle for 4th. Nothing changes at the front. There comes Teo Fabi past, just ahead of Robbie Gordon. So he's moved around 1 car, and that's Gordon. Teo, very definitely moving up through this field now.
Fabi did such a great job all season long with this Jerry Forsyth entry. Virtually no damage in testing or in racing for the whole season. Little bit at Portland, but Gordon is in trouble again. Gilles de Ferran goes down the inside.
Whatever they were working on doesn't look like it worked. De Ferran got around him. Now Jacques Villeneuve closes up behind Gordon. Gordon is 9th. Back to the front. Michael Andretti closing on Bobby Rahal. Rahal runs in 15th place. Of course, he is the end of the lead lap. Down and under. There's the view from Rahal's car. Paul Tracy should be next, coming up to the left there.
So Rahal, who struggled all week here, is just not fast enough to stay on the pace. Now he's 1 lap down. Michael has a little bit of breathing space because Jimmy Vasser is on the charge and trying to run down Michael Andretti.
All points contenders. There is Vasser coming out of the corner of the screen, and Ribeiro comes to the inside as Paul Tracy closes the door on him, and they close down on Vasser.
Well, Paul Ribeiro seems to be good. Here's the Honda power. Look at this. Ford versus Honda down the inside. This Firestone car is very good. We saw Pruitt pull it off earlier, and yes, he does it.
Oh, is that great? So Ribeiro moves up 1 on Paul Tracy. The order is Michael, Vasser, Tracy, Michael, Vasser, Ribeiro now.
Andre Ribeiro is beginning to show how good he is here and how good this Tasman team is and the car they have put under him, because he seems to have a confidence level right now to dive down inside these star names, and Michael is not that far up the road.
Ribeiro moves to the inside again, this time on Fangio.
See how decisive that move is, Paul?
Turned it right in.
No ifs, buts, just straight down the inside. Oh, what a a pleasure it is now for Ribeiro. We talked about the fun you have on an oval track. That's exactly what you see here. A confident driver with a fast car, enjoying himself, making more passes than he has probably in the last couple of seasons.
A pleasure when the car is fast and good.
And that's what
When it's not like Robbie Gordon's, it can be a very long day.
An absolute nightmare it can be.
Back to the front of the field. There is the leader, Michael Andretti. Now take a look up. We'll see where second place is. There he is, Ribeiro. As he flashes across the line, 3.3 seconds behind the leader, Jimmy Vasser, now trying to get out of traffic himself so he can, from third place, renew his attack on Ribeiro. Gary Gerald?
Well, that spotter story's taken another little wrinkle here, if you will. Not only are there stands up there where you folks are at the top of the suites in the press box watching the front straightaway in the racetrack, we understand that Ribeiro had a spotter in turn 2 in a photo location. We were informed by IndyCar officials that they're now escorting him from that location. So I guess he'll be looking for a grandstand ticket as well.
Looking back to Al Unser Jr. Still runs in 6th, and look at the traffic that he has to work with.
And that is for position. Teo Fabi behind him. Christian Fittipaldi just ahead of him. Fabi looks to be the fastest car of this group here.
But you mentioned that Christian can be very tough to pass.
Well, look at Al Jr. had to look to the outside. Now watch what Fabi does here. Stays down to the inside, has a grandstand view of what might happen. DeFerrin's right behind him. Here goes Junior.
Al Unser Jr. moves to the inside of Fittipaldi. Teo Fabi may not be able to get past. No, he can. At the same time, up at the front, Ribeiro is closing on Michael Andretti. Now a second and a half behind. DeFerrin looking to the inside of Teo.
And Jacques Villeneuve where he wanted to be. He's in the top 10. He's actually running 9, looking strong, trying to pass DeFerrin.
Still can't get it done.
See the twitch on the front as he turned in there. That means the car may get away at any second. That tells the driver that's the limit. Don't go any further.
So for the young Canadian, must be a frustrating day. He knows he can wrap up the championship. He knows because of that he has to be careful. But as a driver, he also knows you can be too careful.
And he also knows that Frank Williams watches every move he makes, and Frank Williams likes him and has already put his contract in his back pocket, so he's happy.
Yeah, so no worries. Teo Fabi. And Al Unser Jr. now working up through the field, trying to get Tracy.
4th and 5th. Al Jr. likes the high side. He sets him up on the high side. Vibration from the rear wing of Paul Tracy's car. This car that Paul Tracy's in has had so much understeer here all weekend. They tried a new aerodynamic tweak. They wouldn't tell me exactly what it was. They just said it did not work. They're on suspension number 5 on the front of this car, trying to get rid of some of the understeer that causes these drivers to have to come off the power and just go slower than they can go.
Here's the running order after 64 laps. The real key is at number 1 position, Michael Andretti, because if he stays there, he's going to delay, if not ruin, any championship that Jacques Villeneuve has in mind, because it closes him into such a position that the championship would go on at least to the next race at Vancouver. All 3 previous winners here at New Hampshire have gone on to win the championship in the same year. Ray Hall in 92, Mansell in 93, Unser Jr. last year.
Look at this side-by-side with Ray Hall. 1.5 laps. Ray Hall, we thought, was moving down to the inside. Made Jr. work so hard to go around the outside. Well, they have confidence in each other. They don't mind being side-by-side. It takes a full lap and a half to finally pull it off. Wonder why someone like Ray Hall just doesn't seem to be fast. If you have a push, you come off the power, you've no option but to let other people pass you.
So Michael Andretti is the leader, but Andre Ribeiro is closing in, and Jimmy Vasser runs in 3rd.
Special visitor in Jacques Villeneuve's pit. That's his grandmother, Georgette Villeneuve, who may watch him win a championship, and she's going to watch him go to Formula 1 next year.
I think for Jacques it's the best thing for him to do it because he's very young. He succeeded well in IndyCar race, And I know on back of his mind, he wants to do like his father did, go back to Formula One, or go to Formula One, experience Formula One. And he got the best opportunity that could never repeat again. Because to go to Formula One, you don't have the best team, or one of the best teams, you are not going to succeed. And the door opened for him with the Williams team that I reckon is one of the best teams, and he grabbed the opportunity, and he's right.
As we look at Jacques Villeneuve battle with Gilles de Ferran, nearly midway through the New England 200.
Jacques Villeneuve and Gilles de Ferran battling side by side as Jack finally gets around them. Interesting battle considering it's well back for 9th place. That's Robbie Gordon in 10th, just behind. 1 minute he seems to tiptoe, and then suddenly he moves past somebody.
Which is an example of a driver measuring up the moves he can make. Remember, he has to think at the end of this race, so he has to think of championship and consistency, because if he makes a mistake here, then of course his championship chase becomes that much more difficult.
Let's go back and look at it again. Jack and Gilles.
Now, who was that, Paul?
Jack and Gilles, there they are.
Remember
Gilles
this.
and Jack.
This is together at 150 miles an hour. The slowest point they reach is 146. Now they're side by side. Speed increases, 185 miles an hour. They both turn into the left-hander. De Ferran obviously doesn't want to make it easy. Oh, look at this here with Gordon.
Gordon, Fabi. Gordon has to pull high to let the rest of the battle through.
Gordon got in deep trouble there. He got so...
Get after them now. Get back in your rhythm.
You heard what Derek Walker said there. Get back in your rhythm. That was Gordon, back to Derek Walker.
Got Michael coming up behind you. He's about slot 4. Michael behind you.
So Robbie's complaining he's
I think
loose.
everybody else is too. Just everybody's caught up in traffic. Just hang in there. Don't give up an inch.
I'm going a lap down. I'm going a lap down because I'm so loose, he says.
He tried something the rear bar. Tried the weight jacker.
Listening to Robbie Gordon as Derek Walker gives him some options.
Got Michael on your tail.
Michael's going to fly by him here. This is going to be no trouble.
Interesting that there goes Michael. You're right. Frustration of a driver.
Derek mentioned a weight jacker. Robbie Gordon inside the cockpit can jack weight onto the left front wheel, which actually makes the back more stable. Gordon says he's trying everything. Look at this. Look how easily Ribeiro just flies down the inside.
But interesting the way the two-way radios pay off, because it seemed obvious that Robbie hadn't tried that to its fullest extent until Derek reminded him.
Sometimes you get so busy trying to hang on and save your life and keep the car off the wall, you don't have time to remember everything.
Keeping an eye on Paul Tracy, Jacques Villeneuve now runs in 9th place. Jan Beekes.
Well, if you're wondering why he's so much more racy than he was earlier, he was another one of those guys, just like Robbie Gordon, that went loose. So when he made his pit stop, Barry Green says they took a ton of front wing out of it. He's much happier with the handling of that car now.
Well, he's proving in performance. There's no question about that. The order, Michael and Ribeiro, 1.2 seconds back. Then Vassar. Paul Tracy is 4th. Unser Jr. is 5th. You ride now with 4th place, Paul Tracy.
anticipate where they're going to get in trouble, where you can pounce. Tracy after Vassar. Good example there. Vassar gets inside Gugelmin. Tracy doesn't quite make it. Vassar gets away. Tracy now forces the issue.
Paul Tracy finally gets past Big Mo. Let's go to Gary.
I'll tell you, he's happy right now for the first time. He says this car's really come into neutral. What they mean now, he's right at what they consider almost a perfect balance. That's what's made Tracy such a great contender the last 2 years in his dramatic battles with Nigel Mansell and Al Unser Jr. He loves the way this car's handling right now, and I think you're seeing it as you ride with him.
Back on board with Paul Tracy. Jacques Villeneuve just moved around Teo Fabi. Let's go back up to the front. Michael Andretti, Andre Ribeiro. And look at Ribeiro.
That's Teo Fabi, Paul. He's in trouble. He's a lap down now.
Yeah, Jack just really screamed around him a moment ago. But look at Ribeiro. Ribeiro is now up to challenge.
Superb race by Andre Ribeiro here. Oh, he's quick down the straights. He loves that inside line. Firestone tires on that Reynard versus the Goodyear tires on Michael's car.
Good comparison of power here on the backside. Honda, Ford Cosworth. Last lap speeds tell the tale of what might be inevitable here.
It's Cheever in Foyt's car. Too slow, moves to the high line.
Ribeiro looks for the outside position. Remember, he tends to favor the inside, though.
He does, but I think Ribeiro has the speed now over Michael. Now it's a case of trying to pick your spot.
Paul Tracy's just moved around Jimmy Vassar for third. Tracy moving up too.
Michael will try and make it as difficult as he can because track position is so vital here if he can keep Ribeiro behind him.
49 laps since the last pit stop. Should be another 12, 13 laps before anybody's ready to head for the pits. But Teo Fabi, who has been having some problems, has headed for the pits early. Jan Vikas is right there.
Paul, he's bringing it in because the car is very, very loose. So they're going to change the four tires, try and change the stagger on the car, and we're watching carefully. I'm surprised they're not going to change the front wings. No change on the front wings, just tires and fuel for Teo Fabi. Hopefully just the stagger will be a big enough change. Somehow I don't think so.
Back up front, Michael Andretti still being pursued by Ribeiro. Paul Tracy now third place. He moved around Vassar. Plenty of traffic now lies ahead. And again here, Derek Daly, what you suggested at starting. Aggression is a key, but who's going to have more of it in this battle?
Oh, it will be a proverbial traffic jam in about one more lap because Fittipaldi, Tefera, and Villeneuve are all in their own private battle, so they will not want to back off too much despite the leaders being right behind them. Ribeiro's the man that's in uncharted territory here. He's learning on a huge learning curve today.
Emerson Fittipaldi, ninth place, about to be lapped as the leaders come up on him. But the real battle is right here.
See Ribeiro change his line there. He went out.
Oh, look at that. Boy, right under braking, Ribeiro almost had him, but then he gets caught up behind Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi lets Michael down to the inside. Now Ribeiro's caught up behind him. Ribeiro has to look for room, and Michael gets away.
I don't know what that felt like in the cockpit, but that looked downright dangerous from where we are here. We're a long way away, but Ribeiro tried to make a move around the outside and almost got himself in deep trouble. Here he goes again.
Ribeiro now comes up on the right rear, then looks to the inside. From excitement to terror to excitement in less than 20 seconds.
He is so confident right now. The key is do not let the confidence override the power of the vehicle. Do not think this car can do more than it can do. Michael is so difficult to pass in a situation like this.
And Michael knows the traffic.
Well, Michael knows all you need to know on an oval track like this, but Ribeiro is in a faster car right now.
Clear of that first bit of traffic that they had to deal with, but look at Ribeiro. Ribeiro now moves to the outside, gets very, very high, and he can't get it done.
Oh, remember, this is 150 miles an hour off these corners, and they are inches apart. There he goes.
Ribeiro takes that line that he favors, ducks to the inside, takes the lead. At the same time, the black flag is going to come out for third place, Paul Tracy. They're seeing some smoke on the car, and they want to take a look at it. So third place will come out. Jimmy Vasser will come back to third. What a pass, though, by Ribeiro.
What a move by Andre Ribeiro, the man who has so little experience in these conditions, leading races on an oval like this. What a great, spectacular afternoon he is having. He is brim full of confidence, and that car is brim full of speed.
Let's move back to Paul Tracy now and keep an eye on his car. See if we can figure out why they may be giving him the black flag, what might be the problem as we pass the halfway point now. And here is Tracy answering that black flag, heading down into the Newman Haas pits all the way down at the far end. And Gary Gerald's there to watch. Gary, you have any idea what they're looking for?
No, they know no more, or at least they've indicated no more than what we heard from the IndyCar officials, and that the fact that there was some smoke there. Boy, Tracy's hot. He did not like the fact that he was called in. They're taking the usual precautions of changing the rubber. And no, at the back of the car, the official is pointing, saying no. And at the front of the car, Tracy wants to go. An official won't let him, won't move. Tracy gestures desperately, but he is not going to go anywhere, according to these officials. At the back of the car, pointing emphatically, saying something back there. We're at the front of the car. Now the crew runs back to look as well. Billy Camphausen comes in. He shakes his head, waves his hands.
No, you're not
it's
going
over.
anywhere.
It's over for Tracy. And boy, this team and this driver is not happy.
Well, let's stay with this, see exactly what it is. Ribeiro still running in the lead. We'll track him running in traffic. They're going to take the cowling off. The team doesn't want to give up on this yet. There's Ribeiro as he comes up to lap Jacques Villeneuve.
Look at this in the cockpit. Look, Billy Camphausen and Tracy literally were nose to nose as Tracy had thrown the steering wheel. He grabbed at the hand of Camphausen, and there was an animated discussion. It may continue as Tracy's now out of the car. Boy, emotions running real high.
And Billy Camphausen, of course, in the worst position of all, being the one who has to call that infraction. We yet do not know what the reason was to pull Tracy out. We should know in a few minutes. Paul Tracy absolutely livid, having had such a spectacular run all the way to third place with a car that he thought and we thought looked like was getting better as the race went on.
Now they come down, they take a look still at the back end, and we're still looking to try and determine exactly what the problem was. Ribeiro out in front, but this was what gave Andre the lead of the race. And boy, look at how fast he just stuffed it down the inside and took the lead. We'll be back.
Earlier today in New Hampshire, a 1-2 finish for the Players Limited Indy Lights team. Greg Moore finishing first, Claude Bourbonnais second. For Moore, a record-tying 9 wins in a single season.
Well, for a driver, it's never much fun being a spectator, but this young man is obviously looking at future plans right now. Greg, the motivation is obviously still there. Another great job today.
Well, yeah, you know, the Pole Players Limited Forsyth crew did a great job today, and, you know, definitely the motivation is there. We want to beat Paul Tracy's record now. Now that we've tied it, we know we've got 2 more races to go. We know that we can beat it, and it'll be nice to do it in Vancouver.
That's right. The pressure is really going to be on to perform at home.
Well, yeah, you know, the pressure is definitely going to be on because, you know, we're at home. We've got all the friends and family there. My girlfriend's going to be there, and, you know, so it makes it tough that way. But, you know, I think we've still got a real good chance. Thanks.
Indeed, they've got a race in Vancouver, and then, of course, Laguna Seca. As you look at the leader, Andre Ribeiro, what an absolutely brilliant move he put on Michael Andretti to take over first place. But what about Paul Tracy? What's happened to the Canadian who was running so well?
Should be due for a pit stop any time now by this, the leader of the race, Andre Ribeiro. 69 laps since his last stop. Official reason now being given for Paul Tracy's being yanked out of third with the black flag is an oil leak, Gary Gerald.
Well, here's Paul Tracy now, and he's had a chance to kind of collect his thoughts. They're now saying IndyCar is telling us an oil leak at the back of the car, but I know there was tremendous emotion, and you were very angry.
Well, I think it's a bogus call. They said, you know, they're saying we can't go back out and we can fix the problem, but they're saying they won't let us run. So I think that's a bogus call. It's eliminating us from the championship. I had a great race going. We need the points. It's right to the end of the year. I'm trying to move up into the top 3, and they won't let us return, which is disappointing.
And what were you telling Billy Camphausen, because you were almost literally nose to nose?
I said we got to get back out, and he says no way, we're not letting you back out. So I think it's a bogus maneuver on behalf of IndyCar to eliminate a guy when he's running in the top 3 position.
Are you worried about disciplinary action because of that altercation?
I could care less. You know, it's more important where we finish on the racetrack.
Thank you, Paul.
Angry. With some right to be. Third place.
Well, there is
safety still a concern.
Yeah, there is so much at stake here. Millions of dollars go into putting these cars on the racetrack, and when you run in the top 3, that is beginning to do your job as you want to do it. But there is an oil leak. Oil obviously was coming out onto the racetrack. I'm not quite sure why they can't fix it and maybe get back out again, but then we don't know exactly how serious it is.
And, you know, there is a little bit of a comparative issue. Wide open road course, maybe you could have a little oil leaking. Tight bull ring oval, you don't want any spray on that racetrack.
No chances because of safety. When you go through these corners with that white concrete wall on the outside, any slight bit of oversteer caused by fluid, you are in for a headache.
On about 2 minutes, we ought to see Andre Ribeiro head for the pits along with the rest of the leaders. And what this has managed to do is dropping Michael down into second place with Ribeiro's pass is once again impacts the way the points fight goes. For a while there, with Michael in the lead, the championship would go on to the next race at Vancouver, Canada. Right now, with Michael running in second place, if Jack can stay where he is or do better, he's currently running in sixth, then the championship will be his at the end of the day. Villeneuve's 6 contenders for the title have been mathematically eliminated. 2 of his 6. So, right now, he can stay there.
You can see now that Michael is beginning to struggle to get by Bobby Rahal. We saw how easy he did it earlier. Well, he made it work for a little bit, but he's not quite as fast. And Ribeiro, who is putting on a superb display here of driving talent and a well set up racing car, is just absolutely running away from Michael.
A little more on Paul Tracy. Gary, do we know yet what was leaking?
Paul, I happened to get a chance to take a look underneath the rear wing as they brought the car back up on this side of the wall, and it's very congested. They couldn't move it, and you could clearly see drops of oil coming off the whole lower stanchion. So apparently there was a very pronounced spray. It's definitely a lot of fluid. It appears to be oil, and there's no question it was significant, at least in my opinion.
Well, Gary, while you're talking, we're watching Jack Villeneuve as he really is carving his way up. Just came up alongside and around Michael.
That was not for position. Not for
Just
position. Yes, he's back on the same lap now as Michael, but you can see Michael beginning to struggle. We can only presume his car has gone loose. The rear does not have enough grip. That is a problem here. These cars tend to go loose the more these races go on here on the Magic Mile at New Hampshire.
Back 11 seconds in front now. Still Andre Ribeiro, and should be heading for the pits anytime now. Right here, Andre Ribeiro is going to make his turn in. Will Michael Andretti turn in behind him? They're both 79 laps since their last stop. So here is Ribeiro, and Jan Beekes is watching.
Andre Ribeiro brings it to a stop. You saw the front brakes lock up there just briefly. Andre Ribeiro is happy with the handling of the car, but is having a few problems with the brakes. Maybe that's why we saw that one move when he had Michael, and he went way high. So right now, they're just planning on changing the tires. There, all the fuel's in. Andre Ribeiro, nice job for him. We'll have to see if he hangs on to the lead, Paul.
So Ribeiro at the 122nd lap, in and out. Has to be careful here. Don't want to get above those yellow lines, or you'll be right back in with a stop and go penalty. Again, the essence of the oval, safety's the key. You don't want to pull a car right out of the pits and right up into traffic.
And And Ribeiro, during that stop, never even lifted his visor. Didn't even want to get some cool, fresh oxygen. Was so happy with the position he was in. Good job by the Tasman crew. Boy, this is a great race. They will watch this videotape for a while. Second time he has led an IndyCar race. Was so impressive at the 500 at Michigan. He led 68 laps here, the most by any driver that afternoon. And now he leads in convincing style here at New Hampshire.
Well, on the stop, Michael Andretti and Jimmy Vasser were able to get past Ribeiro, but of course they're due to stop as well. Ribeiro becoming the first, along with Al Unser Jr., of those to make the second round of stops. And doing so on the 125th lap, the presumption is then that you go to the finish.
And this package is so good. It seems to be unusual that Steve Horn would want to change to Lola cars for next year, but that's what he will do. He'll leave the Rainer and go to Lola, the same car that Michael Andretti is in here as we ride over his shoulder, still running in the lead because of Ribeiro's pit stop.
Back in front, riding with Michael Andretti. Gilda Farron's pitted, Christian Fittipaldi has pitted, Jacques Villeneuve has pitted, Robbie Gordon has made his stop. Emerson Fittipaldi made his stop, also did Mauricio Gugelmin. Expect Mo in, and here comes Michael Andretti. Gary Gerald sits down in the Newman Haas pit as Michael comes to a stop.
Well, we'll be watching the progress of Andre Ribeiro on the track as we watch the service job here from Newman Haas. Michael Andretti lost his teammate Paul Tracy a few moments ago. Ribeiro on the front straightaway. Andretti waiting. Now he makes his move. Will he get out in time?
Ribeiro on the backside as Andretti comes up to speed. 13.9 seconds for the stop, and Michael brings her back up to speed.
And Michael now has the fresh tires on, so the chase may begin to start again in the next 10 to 20 laps. Ribeiro at the moment is half a lap ahead of Michael, safely in the lead, and virtually everybody except Ribeiro and Andretti still have to make that stop in the top 10.
We've had 2 caution periods for 11 laps here today. About a half a lap. So now the stops for the leader is complete, Jan Beekes.
That's right. I can give you an update on a couple other stops, Paul. First of all, Jacques Villeneuve came in, made a very quick stop. No changes made on the car. Then right behind him, Gilda Farron came in. His car must have been loose because it took a lot of front wing out of it. Also, Gilda Farron has no clutch. Thankfully, we got him pushed and got him back out in the race.
So after the stops, the order is Ribeiro, Michael Andretti, Unser Jr., Jimmy Vasser, and 5th place is Jacques Villeneuve, and that's exactly where he needs to be to wrap up the championship right here in New Hampshire in the New England 200.
Welcome back to our coverage of the New England 200 here on TSN. Bill, Adam, they talk about cars being loose. Can't they set them up a little tighter before the race and then let them loosen progressively?
Well, the difficulty, Vic, is that the cars will change as the temperature changes. And a car that may handle perfectly in 70-degree weather, when it goes up to 74, 76, it will handle sometimes substantially different. What you want to do is to get a very slight push into a car that is a little bit of understeer, the front wheel sliding, on an oval. You do not want a car to be loose, so I'm sure they're all nervous under those conditions.
Super. Andre Ribeiro, the leader of the race, by 11.3 seconds over Michael Andretti. Al Unser Jr. is 3rd, then Jimmy Vasser, then Jacques Villeneuve. In 6th now is Emerson Fittipaldi, then Christian Fittipaldi, Gilda Farron, Teo Fabi, and Robbie Gordon. Let's go down to Gary Gerald.
In 7 of the last 8 races, Adrian Fernandez with the top 10 finisher. Today it lasted less than a lap. First of all, you appear to be all right. Is that the case?
Yeah, we're fine. It's we're really disappointed about what happened. We don't know exactly what happened. I just lost it. Coming out was really slow, and I just put the power on the car snap oversteer. It's different from the accident I have in practice, but it's a shame for the guys. The Gallus team, he's been doing a great job, and my sponsors, they got the quicker state, but you know, it's sometimes things happen, and we just have to learn to live with this. I mean, it's not a good weekend for us. We just have to forget about it.
Thanks so much, Adrian. Glad you're all right.
Thank you.
Boy, and while they were talking, you got an idea of why, as a leader, you can be sailing along, have all the speed, all the handling. Did you see him lock that front?
That was a bit too close for comfort. If Steve Horn sees this on the monitor, he will tell Ribeiro, back off a little bit. Watch this down inside to Ferrin. Watch the front wheels.
Boy, smoke just poured off the fronts there. She locks the brakes, trying to get down inside Greco, who apparently didn't see him running in front of DeFerrin. Michael Andretti, second place. Jan Bikas, you've been watching, Andre.
That's right. We talked about the braking problem that he had. They feel as though the brakes are getting too hot. But also, Steve Horn radioed to him and said that when we took the Firestone tires off, that the right front tire was pretty well hammered. In other words, telling him to take a little bit easy on it, make sure he doesn't wear it out for the end of the race.
Here's the pit summary once again, in and out. Penske team did some work for Unser Jr.
See, Team Green there did a great job for Villeneuve. The fastest of those pit stops gained him a position back on board. Robbie Gordon, Emerson Fittipaldi gained 2 positions, 8th all the way up to 6th. But Robbie Gordon has a struggle on his hands today, trying to manhandle this Valvoline Reynard. When it goes loose, you have to work all you can to get the best out of it. But sometimes all the changes you make, you still can't make headway.
Gordon currently runs in 10th. Leader is Ribeiro, then Michael. Here's third place, Al Unser Jr., just crossing the line. And once again, if he stays in position and nothing changes, we're going to be celebrating our first IndyCar champion here in New England. In fact, close enough to Canada. A lot of Canadian fans down here anticipating just that. A lot of Quebec license plates.
Good look here at Al Jr. People might ask, why do Penske struggle so much this year? Do you realize that in almost every single race this year, Penske cars are going faster than they did last year when they dominated so many races? But this particular car this year, they're having a tremendous amount of difficulty getting the balance right. Grant Newbury, their engineer, told me today they believe it's a mechanical imbalance somewhere in this car that hampers Al Jr. and Emerson, and they can't quite put their finger on the problem.
Update on Little Al, Jan Bigas.
Well, from the handling side, we checked with the crew, and they said the car went a little bit loose in the mid portion of the race. But then he came in, made his final pit stop. At least they hope their final pit stop did not change the car. They're hoping just fresh tires will bring the car back to a balance for Al Jr.
Running order after 143. Mauricio Guzman, he stayed out. There he is, 84 laps between pit stops.
He had a great expression after Friday when he had difficulties with the car. He said, obviously you can see we are out of the lunch today, but tonight we'll work on the car and make things better.
Ah, you foreign guys. Of course, you know, all year they've been trying to Americanize him, named him Big Mo. So at the front of the field, the 9-second lead, Michael Andretti beginning to move in as Andre Ribeiro. Andretti is second, then Junior, then Vassar, then Villeneuve.
Welcome back to our coverage of the New England 200 as you look at Jacques Villeneuve currently running in 5th place, and that would be enough if things didn't change to give him the IndyCar Drivers' Championship. Bill Adam, is there any excitement in the Players Limited pit?
No, almost typical of Barry Green, all the guys. They're just simply doing their jobs. And you would think it was a race that had no importance whatsoever. Everybody is very, very cool and calm, and they're just methodically waiting the next pit stop.
It is remarkable, though, how a race can change. I mean, Villeneuve struggled the entire weekend with setup, and he's only qualified in 15th position. But there he is, now in 5th, and he could win the title today.
Floating over New Hampshire International, Anheuser-Busch's aerial ambassador, the Bud 1 blimp. It travels to sporting events all across the country, providing beauty shots and, in the case of auto racing, some shots that can tell you intervals, what's going on, and how the crashes occurred. Ribeiro out in front. Michael Andretti second, then Unser Jr., then Jimmy Vassar, Jack Villeneuve. Nothing has changed while we've been away. And Jack Villeneuve, you see him there, the 27 car pulling up just behind Robbie Gordon. He is in a position to walk away from this race as the IndyCar champion. The New England 200. We're at now lap 152. And there's the running order of the top 6. But the question that I would have, Ribeiro sits 10 seconds ahead of Michael Andretti. Gary Gerald, he's going to really be going a long way on the fuel tank that he has now. Can he make it to the end?
We're just talking with the crew, Paul. This is the 200, New England 200, but that's a little misleading because remember this track is a little more than a mile long, 1.058 to be specific. Consequently, the race distance 211 miles, and further of consequence, the pit windows have been narrowed for a 2-stop race. Andre Ribeiro pitted on lap 121. He'd have to go 79 laps, and if it stays green all the way, there's a concern over fuel. So they've gone slightly to a fuel conservation mode. They would really like to have a yellow to take away any of that suspense.
Jimmy Vasser runs in 5th, but Emerson Fittipaldi just got past him, and Vasser's beginning to fall backwards, so perhaps Vasser has a problem here. Running an average speed of 129.7 miles an hour. We have had 2 caution periods, one for Fernandez, one for Scott Pruitt. You've already heard from Fernandez. Scott Pruitt is okay as well. Hopefully we'll be hearing from him shortly. But the record here is Bobby Rahal, set back in 1992 at 133.6, so at 129, we're beginning to close in on it.
On board with Gordon. We watched out the window 2 laps earlier when Vasser got himself into all sorts of trouble on the way into turn 3, went right up beside the wall, backed off, lost several positions, not from cars who were passing him for position, but from lap cars. Now he gathers it up again. Clearly hear Gordon play with the throttle. He's on, off, on, off. That tells you he's trying to balance it. If the car handled well, he would get on in one long, smooth application of power. And that's always the indication of a confident driver that doesn't expect anything unusual to happen.
Back to the pits, Gary Gerald.
One of the concerns, Paul, for all of these drivers late in the race, if you get outside the groove, you get up into the gray, you pick up all of that loose rubber that's come off tires through the preceding laps. Drivers in the drivers meeting yesterday, several of them, including Robbie Gordon, Paul Tracy, very concerned about that because with the tire battle between Goodyear and Firestone, compounds have gotten softer, tires throw more debris up, and you get off the line, it costs you. That was the problem for Jimmy Vasser just moments ago. He got in the gray, he picked up a lot of excess rubber, having a hard time scraping it off. It's impacted the handling of the car.
Watching Jimmy Vasser, car 12's fallen back to 6th now. Guzman just ahead of him, but Guzman, of course, running down in 14th, one of the lap cars. Right behind Vasser is Gordon. Emerson Fittipaldi, there he is, Jan Beekes.
Well, we checked with the Penske crew, and it turns out that Emerson Fittipaldi's race setup has been just about perfect. They haven't changed the car all day, and right now the Penske team is trying to get up from 1 lap down. They're actually radioing to Al Unser Jr., giving him intervals, and they're going to try very, very hard here in the closing stages to catch Andre Ribeiro and get back on the lead lap.
To a victory with 38 laps to go. Fuel will be part of it. Michael Andretti is second, 16 seconds back.
The unusual combination of this season, a rookie driver. He was here last year in the Indy Lights Series. He wasn't a winner, but a rookie driver in a Reynard car with a Honda engine and Firestone tires. Something that has never proven itself in the past to be successful. And Steve Horn has put this package together. And what a superb job this team has done. A new team back in IndyCar racing. Of course, Steve Horn, a lot of you will know him from his days at True Sports, and he was so successful with Bobby Rahal. And again, next year, he wants to run a Indy Lights team as well as an IndyCar team.
On board with Bobby Rahal, sits in 12th place. Guy who came in here with a chance at the championship. It seems to be going away now. Championship championship is right now firmly in the grasp of Jacques Villeneuve.
Listen to the power application. Likes one long, smooth application. Doesn't hit it hard enough early enough, though.
Of a championship. Team Green, Gary Gerald, are they starting to see a possibility?
I think they refuse to think about that. As you know, Barry Green, Kim Green, Tony Cicali, the entire crew down here, they are so good at staying focused and keeping their driver and team members focused. That's what they're doing right now. He says that Jack is telling him that the car is good. It's not great. It's very, very slippery out there, and the slightest miscue that gets you off the primary groove can be disastrous. But as far as fuel and everything else, they're right on target. They like the way they've been moving consistently up. I think they'd be delighted. Well, we know they'd be delighted if they could get this thing over right now with 2 races to go, but they just don't really want to talk about that particular aspect. They're just trying to do the best job they can at the moment in these remaining 32 laps.
Well, the possibility seems very real at the moment. Andre Ribeiro, Michael Andretti, 2 cars on the lead lap. Andretti 12 seconds back, trying to close on Andre Ribeiro. Fuel may help decide.
TSN's coverage of the New England 200 continues as we look at Teo Fabi and his car for Jerry Forsyth Racing. Started outside the first row, but has fallen back ever since then. Bill, Adam, let's talk a little bit about Paul Tracy. And would you agree with me, one of the reasons Roger Penske wants Paul Tracy back next year is because of his testing ability, and he lost that this year?
No, without question, Vic, that's exactly why Penske does want him back. When I left the race at Cleveland, I had a most interesting conversation with Tony Cicali, the aerodynamicist for Team Green here. And Tony was saying that Paul's ability to test different setups is invaluable. The experienced 2 drivers Penske has in Fittipaldi and Unser Jr., because of their experience, they are both very reluctant to try anything new. So Paul is needed.
Al Unser Jr. is 3rd, then Jacques Villeneuve. Emerson Fittipaldi runs in 4th place. We'll give you a relationship here now. There is the leader of the race, looking back for Michael Andretti as the leader flashes across the line, completing 173 laps. And looking for Ribeiro. Miss him. There's Michael. There's Michael. 15.7 seconds behind Andre Ribeiro.
To give you an idea, Paul, of the difference in lap speeds, Andre Ribeiro was 3 miles an hour faster on the last lap than Michael Andretti. So he has this race well under control as long as he has enough fuel in that Honda car to go all the way to the checker flag.
So 25 laps, a little over 25 miles to go. Michael Andretti still trying to run Andre Ribeiro down while Ribeiro is looking for his first ever win in the IndyCars.
We're heading towards the finish of the New England 200. Andre Ribeiro, the pole sitter, currently leading Michael Andretti, the only 2 cars on the lead lap. Interesting to note that Ribeiro would become only the 3rd driver to win from the pole this year. Robbie Gordon won in Detroit, while Jacques Villeneuve started on the pole and won at Road America. But more importantly, for Jacques Villeneuve, currently running 5th, he looks like he's on his way to the Indy Drivers' Championship. Back to New England.
Back keeping an eye on Andre Ribeiro. We just ran a check of everybody up and down the pits. And the key players at the front, Andre, Michael, well, they don't seem to have any problem whatsoever with fuel. Not so sure the same situation is true at Penske Racing. Al Unser Jr. runs in 3rd place right now. He's 57 laps since his last stop. And Jacques Villeneuve now sits in 4th place. And one factor that is going to affect the overall outcome of a championship and a possible wrap of it here today, as we suggested at the starting of the show, is where that appeal with Al Unser Jr. over his win in Portland. Remember, he was disqualified and the win given to Jimmy Vasser. Well, if Al wins that appeal, then he'll come out of this race only 34 points behind Jack, and so the championship not yet determined, and that's based on little Al's position right now. So the championship can go on, and the appeal, well, it'll be some time yet before it will be heard. They're still putting the panel of 3 appeals judges together. To go for the Brazilian. Studied law for a while. Andre Ribeiro. Honda Power, Firestone tires. Tasman looking for their first victory. Steve Horn, who was so prominent in bringing Bobby Rahal to championships, stepped away from the Indy cars for a while, got his feet under him as his own owner, had success in Indy Lights, now back up to the Indy cars, and look at the results.
Went to Europe, Paul, to do the British Formula 3 Championship with limited success. But he came up through the Indy Light Series. That's a good shot of his team manager, team owner, Steve Horn, on the radio to his young rookie who is learning so much this afternoon, leading this race in style. The only thing he came here with was the Rookie of the Year honors from last year. What a superb job he's showing today.
You got a view of him at the start. The senior senator from Indiana, Dick Lugar, former mayor of Indianapolis, big racing fan, got to do something I've always wanted to do, watch from a starting stand at the start of the race. Has joined us up in the booth, watching up here as we continue to watch Andre Ribeiro and Michael Andretti, as Michael's still trying to reel him in, but it's not happening.
Lap for lap as they get into traffic. Ribeiro goes faster, then Michael will match the speed, then suddenly Ribeiro pulls away again. But at the moment, we can only presume that Ribeiro is beginning to take things easy. We saw him shoot round the outside of Michael earlier in a very dangerous looking move, got away with it. We saw him lock his brakes inside Gugelmin. He got away with that. Sometimes you don't always get away with it 3 times. So he just needs to take things easy, because he has all the tools this afternoon to win this New England 200.
Nothing changes down through the order, though Fittipaldi is now beginning to close in a bit on Villeneuve. There you see Fittipaldi as the leader starting to close in. Fittipaldi just ahead of him, and the blue and white car of Villeneuve just ahead of that.
The only thing that could change things, Paul, is a yellow flag. That would give Michael another opportunity, possibly to pounce. However, the traffic would not help him then, because the leaders, we presume, would be at the head of the field. But one impressive thing, Paul, was how this Firestone car could duck down to the inside and get grip on that low line and speed, as opposed to his opposition.
Oh, the pass he made on Michael, that was spectacular when he just darted to the inside. You wouldn't think the car would stick under those kind of lateral G-forces. Boy, it sure did.
Started first, currently first. What a piece of videotape that will be when he gets to look at this race. We, of course, thought that Firestone must be under pressure to win here. Al Spire, their racing team manager, will tell you no. They set a disciplined, conservative program for this season, and they have outshone their expectations. And the results that they got at Michigan, and they almost won the Indy 500. Now they're in command here. That is further down the road than they ever expected to be at this stage of their return season.
And Ribeiro now running at a record pace. The record pace, 133.6, set by Rahal. And now Ribeiro with 8 laps to go at 134.085. 22 of the 26 starters still running, Jan Beekes.
Checking in with Al Unser Jr., of course, this has huge championship implications. Al Unser Jr. in his Penske machine feels as though they're very, very tight on fuel. Originally, he was trying to chase down Andre Ribeiro to get the lap back. Now, he's really slowed off the pace, just trying to conserve fuel. Now, if anything happens, of course, that throws a whole wrench into the championship scenario.
A concern to all of us here today, normally in the booth, our scorer throughout all of these IndyCar races is Fran Leonard. He's rushed out of the track here yesterday. His son Chad, who is quite an avid and successful go-kart racer, was injured in an accident yesterday in Michigan. He's in the hospital intensive care unit. We have a more promising report now that he's improving, but our best wishes and prayers go out for Chad. 6 to go. Ribeiro leads. Michael's closed a little bit, now 14.2 seconds. Michael closing, Ribeiro taking it easy. What do you think?
Ribeiro controlling the race. I still believe from what we can see in the lines he can take, he has the power and the speed to challenge, even if Michael manages to get close enough. He is still almost half a lap behind Andre Ribeiro, and the traffic at the moment is beginning to fall Ribeiro's way.
Michael on the backside. 4 to go.
Notice the distinctive front wing on this Lola. They have tried 3 different front wings, 3 different rear wings on this car, trying to get the understeer, which is very prevalent during qualifying in particular, out of this Newman-Haas Lola. They have yet to put their finger on the problem, and that's why Paul Tracy believes in race conditions on these over there are always better than they are when they try and qualify.
Ford Cosworth power there in Michael's car, but we're looking at the potential of history being made up in the front. Honda power looking at their potential first IndyCar win. Remember, so very close at Indy with Scott Goodyear. Now 3 to go for Honda. Andre Ribeiro and Tasman first for everybody there.
You mentioned Honda power. Will the Newman-Haas cars be powered by Honda engines next year? There have been meetings, there have been discussions, and Carl Haas knows a good engine when he sees one. We've got a crash. Buddy Lazier.
Lazier catches the wall, turn 4. And will they get it cleaned in time? Marco Greco down on the inside. Now Steve Horn talks to Ribeiro as the white flag will come out, so that won't change anything. Ribeiro will see the white flag, and unfortunately, he'll see the checkered flag under yellow. His first win will come under a yellow, but still a well-deserved victory. As Ribeiro now taking a look at the white flag as he gets through the accident zone and down the front stretch.
There are 2 cars involved. Buddy Lazier is one of them. He made hard contact with the outside wall. That's in Dale Coyne's car. There is also one of the Pac West cars involved in that, I believe. Is it Gugelmin?
Now Gugelmin appears to be in the line, as does Fangio. Greco is the one that we thought. There's the checkered flag. Checkered flag for Andre Ribeiro, for Honda, for Tasman. Great victory here today, right from the pole. Ribeiro takes the victory as the yellow comes out on the final lap. And Andre Ribeiro has taken the victory. Oh, what a nice win. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Steve and Christine Horn, I know the emotion must be huge at this moment. What are the feelings?
Well, we've had a couple of get away from us this year at Indy and at Michigan, and I think this is a great credit to Andre. Drove a fantastic job, and I just got to say a very special thanks to Honda in particular and to Firestone for giving us the product. Guys on the team never gave up.
So many people were skeptical. They said a rookie had no chance on a bull ring like this to win. Did you give him much of a chance?
I gave him a lot of chance because he did a great job in lights, and this is the next step for him, and this is great.
Well, get out there and enjoy it. They'll come off the wall, and we'll head with the crew as we get down there to get a word with Andre Ribeiro.
Do you think, Paul, he knows where Victory Circle is?
I think we'll have plenty of people down there to point him to it. And boy, is he a happy guy, too. This will be a popular victory, too. He's so well-spoken, enjoys life, enjoys racing so much. Yeah, Buddy Lazier, he's out of the car. He's obviously okay. We'll check on Marco Greco, too. Down on the inside, he looked to be all right.
Look at this. I love to see this celebrations when a rookie driver gets to take his first win in unusual circumstances, because it really was the unexpected, but that gives Firestone 2 wins in the last 3 races.
Third win from the pole this year. Gordon, Detroit, Villeneuve at Elkhart Lake. Let's go to Gary.
Well, it's chaos, as you might well expect. We're trying to get, here's Andre right here. He sits down on the side pod. Christine Horn has just gotten here. And we'll try to get that helmet off. And, and we'll hear the first words that come out of this young Brazilian's mouth. I don't know. I think it might be a howl or a scream of delight or something, but Andre, he gets the breathe right strip off the nose, the earplugs. What's the emotion of this moment, young man? So many people said there's no way a rookie can win at this racetrack. You've just done it, and you've done it convincingly.
Well, I can't believe this is the greatest moment in my life. It's incredible. It's incredible.
What were your concerns when this day started? What were you trying to remember as the key that might get you to this moment?
To be patient, very, very, very patient. I was talking with Steve Horn all the time on the radio. They were keeping me cool, but I tell you, the last laps were difficult. It's great. Great.
How tough was it with the last lap when you saw the yellow? There was an incident there. Was that the realization then, this thing is won? You knew that it was only a lap or 2 to go?
Well, I really tried to wait for the last lap, really the checkered flag, because I knew the race only would finish on the checkered flag, but it's an incredible moment. It's great.
He's got the Brazilian flag in his hand. He wipes away the tears. He displays it. We now have 9 different winners this season, Paul.
So Andre Ribeiro takes the victory here over Michael Andretti. The championship still goes on while we wait the results of an appeal and, of course, the actions of Al Unser Jr. on the race course. There's still plenty to talk about here in the New England 200.